Well, hi there. I'm back again. 3 videos in a row from me. You'll be tired of hearing my voice. Here we are with the mini catalog, September to December 2025. And my tip is on using embossing folders. In particular, this 6x6 one in the mini catalog on page 22. It is called the Traditional Wreath 3D Embossing Folder. And I'm also going to show you with my card this particular die. Alrighty, let me pull in the embossing folder. It's hard to see it because it's clear, right? So here is the paper that comes with it. So there's quite a bit of dimension to it all. And one of the hits with it is that it is 6x6. So you can use this on a lot of different projects. And I will hit up a couple just that came to mind for me. But before we do, I want to show you when you cut your paper to 6x6, this is Pool Party, and you want to stick it into the embossing folder. I just try to make sure my paper's just a wee bit bigger than all the embossing so I don't miss any of the beautiful images that are going to come out of it. And when you pull it out, once you've embossed it and you pull it out, the side where the Stampin' Up! Logo is and the straight line, there's only one line, that is known as the embossed side. That's the side that the paper comes up through. If you were to use this folder on its opposite side, that's known as the debossed side. This one in particular I might not use on the debossed side, but other embossing folders you can most definitely do that. I tend, I'd say 90% of the time to use the embossed side, but there's both. But the point I wanted to make was sometimes we forget and we're like, oh, I'm putting foil paper in. It's only got foil on one side and white on the other. Which side do I put it in? I don't want to waste it. This is your embossed side with the logo right there. The side on the back just says Stampin' Up! Made in China, and so that is your debossed side. All right, so I have this 6x6, and I could put it on a scrapbook page. I could use it in some way on a 3D project. I can put it on a card, but our typical cards in North America are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So how am I going to get as much of this beautiful image onto this card? Well, I could make a 6x6 card or a little bit bigger than 6x6. Bigger than 6x6 isn't going to be possible with standard paper, although some mathematician could probably figure out how to use our 12x12s to make that happen. So I'm going to cut this down. So grab my paper trimmer, and I am going to cut this down to 6 strips of 1 inch by 5 1/2 inches. So to do that, I'm just going to take a look at it. It is very like circular. There's no really one side or the other to start cutting down because the image goes all the way around. But I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/2. And just looking at the way I put it on the paper, I think maybe I've got a little bit more unembossed side here. So I'm going to cut this down to about 3/8 off. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/2. I cut a little bit off each side. I could have been smarter and placed it so that it was at the edge, but I didn't think that through. All right, so it is 5 1/2 this way, and I want to cut 6 1-inch strips off. I'm not cutting anything more. So I'm going to slide this over to the right where the 1-inch mark is. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to leave them to the right in the same order that I'm cutting them off. 2, 3. I know it seems sacrilegious to cut this beautiful embossing folder, but when you see the result, I think you'll agree it was a good attempt. 5 and 6. Okay, we're done with the paper trimmer. What we're going to do is get rid of the pieces 1 and 6, the first and the last. I could put those on the envelope, I could put them on the inside of the card, I could throw them out, I could do whatever I want with them. And we're left with the 4. I do want to keep them in their same order, just because it makes the pattern flow nicely. I'm going to grab a card base, which here in North America is 4¼ by 11. So I've already cut it off. I'm going to fold it in half where I scored it in the middle, which was 5½. And then I'm going to layer these on with a wee bit of a space in between. What tends to work best for me is for me to start with the left and put the right and then fit the 2 middle ones, or if there were 3 across, the middle one in afterwards. And the reason I do that is it's a lot easier to have a little bit of a smidgy miscalculation across than it is to have cut too much and then you have to trim this down. So it just makes me get them more easily centered. And I'm going to show you this process, exactly how I did it when I made my sample card for this. And you're going to see exactly what happened here. There we go. So that's 5½. Okay. And then, actually, I guess I'm not going to be able to show you because I must have done this one differently. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take, whoops, let's make sure we're in the right realm here. Okay, I'm going to put the next one down. I'm going to put the one on the right. That's this guy here. I'm just going to make sure these are all nicely lined up because now I'm fiddling with it. Okay, I'm going to put the one on the right. And I'll explain later what I meant by exactly what happened here. All right, so we tuck this guy down here and leave a little bit of a space. I'm not measuring, but I'm going to sort of look at putting these 2 in here. And I have just a smidgen more to go. So I did end up with it being just a little bit wider on the edge. It's fine. Nobody saw the original card. Nobody knows what my idea was. So I'm just going with it. Don't you find that that happens whenever you're creating something? You're like, oh, I meant to do this. Oh, the measurement is off. How am I going to make it work? I'm just going to make it work. No one really looked at the card and said, oh, she meant to do this. Let's tuck this guy in here because this is not the focal point of my card. What's going on the front is going to be the focal point of my card. But this is a way of using that beautiful big embossing folder on a smaller card. And there we go. Do you know what? Can you see it? Can you see where I mixed the patterns up? Yeah, I think I did. I think I mixed these 2 up. Once again, we're going with it. I like it. Perfect. This is my original card that I'm trying to replicate here. Okay, and so I'm going to use a few more products. But basically that's what I was wanting to do, was go ahead and cut this out. And you can't see that open end piece. If I can just, maybe I can reposition these. Maybe it was not been down long enough that I can reposition it. Ever do this? Oh yeah, it's coming up. Thank you, liquid glue. So what you can also do is add some breath to it, and that will help pull it off. Or you can recut the paper and start over again, but I don't have the luxury of that today. So I'm just going to pull this off. I'm going to re-glue it down. Nobody is the wiser. People are going to be forgiving, and they're going to love the card. There we go. Tips, tricks, learning on the go. Sorry, just trying to get some paper off my hands. Okay, so there you have that open end piece that we're going to hide. The next piece I want to share with you is another little tip when I was making this card. I'm using this paper from Traditions of Christmas. There are 2 sheets, and each sheet has 17 of these floral sprays. So that's 34 cards I can make with this. So they're all here in between, and I've cut 2 out. one for my sample card and one for the one to show you now. So you just go in with your scissors and you just kind of generally cut around it, and then you take what you've cut out and you add the die, which is this one. Because you can't put this whole sheet into your Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And if you cut off here, you're going to cut some of them off. So you need to do a first cut by going in with your scissors. And then this fits beautifully around each one. You could also hand cut them out. I love it when there's a die that works with it. But with 17 on each piece, I'm going to get 34 Christmas cards out of this. And to be honest, this really didn't scream Christmas to me. I was thinking other holidays and celebrations and things for the fall, and I have a friend whose anniversary is in November, and I think this is a perfect card for them. All right, and then I used more of those, if you saw my previous video, using branching out dies. I cut one of these as a backdrop. I'm going to put some dimensionals on it because the other part's just been glued down. Be generous with your dimensionals. The one thing you don't want to have happen is have your card sort of sag in the middle. So I know people that would even put more than this on there. But see, when we put this on, it hides some of our messiness. There we go. And I don't typically glue onto foil paper because it picks up all the little bits of glue very easily and kind of smudges across. So I'll put some dimensionals also on this piece so that it's nice and clean and not messy. Maybe I think I need another one here. In fact, I may have used the smaller ones on my other sample, or mini dimensionals if you have those. And then this will just be centered on here. It doesn't need a bow. It really doesn't need embellishments. It has some beautiful foil accents. And then either you can put a small greeting here, or in my case, I'm going to put another greeting on the inside and use this for a Christmas card. So that's a couple of quick tips on using some other products in the catalog and specifically the embossing folder. So I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of the 12 days, and I'll be checking in myself to see all the cool videos. Take care. Have a beautiful day. Bye.